trained skill, I will say. That's why we have this part of this class.
How would you go about, working with a first-time home buyer? You can tell they're like nervous and afraid of putting in an offer, but it's like a good fit for them. It's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because places are going off the market really quick in some towns, and
what do you mean by afraid to put in an offer?
just like they're kind of hesitant to take that first step, but they really want us. Like they've been renting for a long time.
Yeah.
They're just like always finding something wrong with the property, and you don't want to get too pushy.
Right.
But as their realtor, you know that this would be a good fit for them, and that's like exactly what they're explaining. Like they explain to you that this is like a good fit, room, square footage, location, but they're I just don't feel like this place. I'm like okay.
I would ask them a lot more questions.
Okay.
Because what you need to do is kind of peel back the onion and figure out what it is that's really making you nervous.
Yeah.
Is it something about the house specifically? And what I think you're getting to is it's probably not. Right? There's probably some other
reason why
objection in their head they're not saying. So they're picking out little stupid things about the house that could easily be fixed or changed or adjusted or aren't really deal breakers, and they're using that as an excuse not to move forward. So I would ask them a whole bunch more questions and say, questions like, what don't you like about that feature of the house? Is that deal breaker on every house I see? So, no, maybe not. Okay, so,
I'm going to try to get back over here when you
dig a little bit deeper with.
If I'm not, to turn this off.
What's the actual reason that's
button
and
slide.
do they have, are they pre-qualified?
Just that
Do
red
they have
button.
whatever down payment they
And then I'll be
require
able to pick it up.
Yeah,
Is it on
also
now?
Everything's
Credit's good to
on.
go.
Relationship with her.
Yep, thank you.
Closer,
Yeah.
like ready to go. She's like everything you said. She has like her approval letter ready to be like printed for any house that we're interested in. She's at that stage where she's up and ready to go to put in an offer, but she always finds like one little thing and kind of like it's putting it off. So I try to ask questions, find kind of deeper in her objections, but I don't want to ask like prying questions where she feels like
You do want to ask right questions.
okay.
Do it tactfully. If you're seeing that she's getting uncomfortable, then stop or redirect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But prying questions are always going to get you the answer. It doesn't have to. I'm not saying make her feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm saying you've got to ask tough questions sometimes and let her open up to what's really going on.
This is my first time home buyer, so first time home buyer. So
And you need to tell her, look, finding a combination of everything you want in one home at the right time, in the right budget and location is very likely. What we find in real estate is that you're going to end up buying a house that fits most of those requirements. So what are the real deal breakers here and what are not? If having a fireplace, they'd really like to have one, is that an actual deal breaker? Or can they buy one of those aftermarket fireplace, you know what I mean? Or like something like that.
I usually teach, I was a buyer agent
Because for them to find a house that fits every single on their ridiculously long list of expectations is not going to happen. And sometimes you just have to tell them. Not to say that you're not trying, that you're not putting in all the time and effort to finding it, but to be able to find something with every single one of those widgets in the right location, price point, that's available, and then you're going to win enough for a while.
So if you're out there and you're writing a contract
that fits most of their
kind of stuck
criteria
on how to word something,
based on what's available in the market right now. And these statistics show
or all of a sudden
that
you bump in the road with your transaction.
the months in inventory is about
and you kind of like, what do I do?
2.5 to 3 months.
I'm
I
going to
don't
go
think
over
it
your
depends on what price
contract
point
with you. It's
low
usually,
2 to 300.
the answer is usually somewhere in how you wrote that contract.
So there's even a little bit more inventory.
That's
now.
kind of my
So
thing.
there's
So
3 to 4
I
months
teach,
out there.
I usually teach finding
And what you can do
with
is
the buyer, which was
call
one
the listing
the other
agent,
day.
get some information
My
from
son had 4
after
weeks
you've
to
seen
keep it
it.
out, so I
Or even do it in front of them.
then
That would make that if
finding
you're comfortable with that.
homes.
And ask them a series of questions.
Yes.
Do you know you would ask the listing agent?
So, and I'm also in
Do
production
you know what kind
myself.
of questions you might want to ask the listing agent?
So I just do
The listing agent. Before I submit an offer, I tell the listing agent 100%.
But I'm always available.
What do you think, Matt?
Like always.
Offices.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except
very
I should,
good to know.
I should, yeah, I should just hand out my cards to you guys.
Right.
Yep. Bless you.
Thank you. Whew. Allergies. Is it still available? Are the current offers in hand? Are you expecting any outdoor offers? Hey, I already took Zyrtec, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Are there any showings scheduled? And so, depending on what the information is, yes, we've got an offer in hand. Then you go back to your clients and say they've already got an offer in hand. Okay, this is getting frustrating.
I think I have one.
Yeah, if they've already got an offer in hand, the next question should be when are you presenting to the seller, and when are they going to be accepted offers by? You go back to your clients, and if you're doing it right in front of them, you say, okay, they've got an offer in hand, we've got until tonight at 5 to make our offer. Or we've got until tomorrow to make our offer. So it puts the pressure a little bit more on them. If they don't have any offers, then you just take that same information and structure it like there aren't any other offers, which means we're not competing with anybody, which means now's the time to pull the trigger. So I mean, no, either way, whatever the answer is, you use that information to show them why it's time to go now. And circle back with them on houses that you know they liked. And say, look, this is what's going on with inventory right now. Is that fireplace that you mentioned in the second home, is that definitely still a deal breaker? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you want to go back and even necessarily more aggressively, would you like to go back and see the house a second time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they do, then maybe that fireplace, I'm using the fireplace for example. I don't know that.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, we're way past that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
We're up. Gab away. Gab away. I'm excited. Vicky. All right. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started. Let's go ahead and take out our mission packets. Everybody go ahead and bust those out. Hold it right in front of you. We are in mission 8. Mission number 8 to be completed prior to Ignite Class 8, which we're doing today. How to find homes and show homes. So, we all have our mission statement. 10-4. 10-4. Who's been completing their 10-4 regularly? Show of hands. 1.5.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting all 10.
2.5.
But I'm doing some.
Out of 12, okay, 3.5. There we go. So what are the activities that you are getting done, Tracy?
Well, the part I'm having the hardest time with is adding new contacts. I
Okay.
get a couple a week, but not 10 a day.
Right.
And I've already beat the heck out of my sphere of influence.
Okay.
Who do you know? Who do the people you know?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right. So from the class, what are some ways to generate new leads, buyers or sellers? What do we think?
Open house.
Open house, that's a great
Door
option.
knocking, yeah.
What else?
Door knocking.
Door knocking,
Circle
circle prospecting. What are some other ideas?
I just wrote letters to people in an area. Direct mail. So not direct mail, but like
Letters to people that you know or just to strangers?
well, strangers, but in a neighborhood that I live in.
Okay, to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody they may recognize or know. I had one agent yesterday go downtown, right in one city center, hand out business cards and just approach people on the sidewalk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you're having a struggle adding contacts, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Somebody remind us what the 10-4 is. What are the 4? What are the 4 activities? What are the 4 duties or tasks?
10 notes.
Handwritten notes,
10 contacts.
10 new contacts. Well, no. What do you do once you make the contact? Where do you store that information?
In your
Database, 10 to your database. And then what was the last one? Previewing homes, looking at homes, right? Going to open houses, going on showings. If you can't do either of those for some reason, go into the MLS and preview homes in the MLS at bare minimum. Would we all agree that it probably makes sense to view homes in the neighborhoods and in the parts of town that you're focusing in or that you're working on, right? If I work primarily in Greater Portland, I'm not going to start viewing homes in Paris, Maine, right? do a local search and say, wow, okay, this is what's going on in the East End versus the West End versus North Deering. So now you're more educated the next time you talk to your buyer clients or your seller clients, right? Practice scripts with a partner. I've seen some of you at scripts and role play in the PC room. Somebody remind us when it is. Cody.
Tuesday and Thursday.
No, when it is.
Oh, Tuesday and Thursdays, 8:30.
Louder so everybody can hear in the back.
Tuesdays and Thursdays
Thank you.
from 8:30 to 9.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 to 9, and then we roll right into lead generation after that. If you can't make that, or in addition to that, who else should you be practicing with?
An accountability partner.
An accountability partner, a scripts partner, somebody to call 2, 3, 4 times a week and say, hey, this is Joe at Keller Williams Realty, and then you roll right into your script. And then they do it on the phone. The whole conversation takes 60 to 90 seconds, right? Then maybe you quickly check in with, hey, how are you doing on your contacts this week? Have you been utilizing your database? Have you been getting stuck anywhere, right? Maybe you can answer questions for each other. Set some goals for the next day, week, right? And then check in again. Accountability partner. I know most of us have one. Is there anybody else that I haven't talked to that needs an accountability partner?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. All right, and we've already talked. Perfect. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Vicki, as always. At this point in time, I will hand over the floor to the one Helen McConnell. You are in good hands today. Enjoy. We'll see you after class.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Helen McCount, and I was a buyer agent for 18. I've been in the business for 20 years, and for 18 years, I probably was the first buyer agent in the state of Maine on the first team in the state of Maine. So my whole career has been working with buyers, training buyer agents, recruiting buyer agents, and obviously just working only with buyers. So that's why I'm super passionate about teaching anything related to buyers. I'm also a designee to the designated broker, who is Kathy Manchester. So I'm one of 5 or 6 designees. So if you guys are out there and you run into an issue, or it doesn't feel quite right, or maybe the other agent has said or done something that you just need to talk to somebody about, call me. Let's talk about it. If it's a big, ugly, hairy, messy situation, I'm probably not the right person, but I will escalate. I'll kind of flush it out and escalate it to Kathy. And then if Kathy needs to get our attorney involved, she will do that. But we want to hear about stuff that you guys are running into versus just trying to figure it out yourself. There's so much in this business that you guys need to learn, that we're here to help you kind of get through some of that stuff. So in a couple things, I want you guys to be thinking about this. I know you just had the discussion with Joe about how to find people, how to find buyers, and sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't really want to bother my sphere, or I've already called everybody in my sphere. Fine. No, here's the thing. Everybody knows at least 200 people. Fact. Everybody knows at least 200 people. So you don't need to be hounding your sphere. You don't need to be calling the same people over and over. Get out of your own way. Like walk into a beauty salon and hand out your business card, or walk into a hardware store, or Lowe's or Home Depot, and just start noticing what people are doing. If they're picking up building supplies, maybe strike up a conversation about, hey, are you building? What are you building? Where are you building? Who are you building for? If you see people that are boxes and packing tape, yard sales, usually those are pretty good indicators that somebody's planning some type of move. So again, there's Bold is coming up, and one of the things is that Bold does is, and I've done it a couple of times, is go into, like, if you're in I live in Westboro, so my market is Westboro. So at one point, I took 100 business cards, and I had 10 in my hand, and I walked into every single business on Main Street, and my script was, "Hi, my name is Helen LeCount. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I'm the neighborhood realtor, and I wanted to just stop in and introduce myself to you. How's business?"
It's going good.
Good, that's awesome. How long have you been in business here?
Oh, 15 years.
Really? Right. And so tell me more about what you specialize in here. I'm always looking for people to refer my clients to. And I've driven by this business a million times, and I've never stopped in. So I'd like your card, and all that I ask is that you keep me in mind if you hear of anybody looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate. Boom. Now you've just picked up a whole bunch of business cards to do something with. Put in your database, send out a card, refer some business to them. I mean, our jobs are not just asking for people to refer business to us. Our jobs are to build relationships with people, all kinds of people, in all kinds of walks of life, so that when you hear of somebody that might be looking for a job, you may say, "Hey, I know a lot of people. What kind of work are you looking for? Let me make a few phone calls, and I'll see if I can surface some things for you." And I like to think of our profession, and every personality is going to be a little different, but I consider myself a connector. You know, if I know that you have a need, and I know you have a service that could provide something to him, why not refer you to him and make that connection? That's what it's all about. So, okay, so today what we're going to talk about is techniques for qualifying homes you find online. Develop your showing skills and practice powerful scripts that will help your buyers in the decision-making process. I think that you had a conversation with Joe about a buyer that's having a hard time making a decision or finding issues. I think what it comes down to, and this is a whole different class altogether, but I am a huge proponent of buyer consultations. And you guys, being new, you're going to run out and you're going to get a phone call, somebody wants to look at a property, and you're going to drop everything and you're going to run out and meet a complete stranger in a completely vacant house. I've done it many times. It happens. And you think, well, I'll just build rapport and explain how all of this works when I'm at the property. Well, that's all well and good, but you might be at the property and realize that the guy or the girl or whoever you're meeting is not qualified at all. Or you may get a call from the listing agent to say, "Hey, I just want to let you know there are 2 offers," and you haven't even explained to the buyer how any of this works. Now all of a sudden you're doing everything backwards. You haven't pre-qualified them, you haven't met them, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their motivation is. So, you know, you can run out and show property for practice if that's what you want to do to get your feet wet, but always just work on getting them in for an appointment. I've shared with some of you the LP Mama script, and I want to just outline it to you. Because I think the whole basis of successfully showing property and helping buyers make decisions is on how you present and how you present the process to them so they understand how it all works. So the most important things for you guys, this is LP Mama. You want to identify the location, price, motivation on the part of the buyer, have they looked at anything with another agent? If so, do they have anything signed with that other agent? Mortgage. An appointment. Get the appointment. I don't care what kind of appointment. It could be meeting a lender for a cup of coffee. It could be meeting a friend of yours that works at Unum to get to know them a little bit more, and maybe you buy them lunch somewhere, and maybe they understand that you now, that you want them to understand what it is that you're looking for. People will refer you business if they know what you're looking for. I'm always asking people, tell me what the ideal referral for you would be. And somebody says, well, I'm small businesses. Well, what does that look like? Oh, well, between 1 and 5 employees. Oh, okay, cool. Now in my head, I'm kind of looking for, you know, I love to give referrals because I get a lot of referrals. So why not just give it back and then it keeps coming? So, all right, so location, you really want to identify. When somebody says, well, I'm looking for something in Maine. No. No. What are the 3 most important things in the next property that you buy? Well, I need to be within 20 minutes of Portland. Okay, tell me why. Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? Well, I need to have treatments at Maine Med 3 times a week. So it's really important that okay, all right. Tell me more about, let's talk about the property that you're interested in. Or paint me a picture of that next home. You say that to somebody and then you zip it and say nothing more, all of a sudden the floodgates open up. Oh, we need to have the front porch, and we need to have a breezeway. Oh, we need that workshop in the basement. Tell me about that workshop. What do you do in that workshop? Oh, woodworking. Okay, woodworking in the basement, and you have a forced hot air system, and your son is asthmatic. That's probably not a good fit. Maybe we need to be looking for something that has a barn or a detached garage. Price. You know, you called on a property that's listed at $259,900. Is that your price range? Well, we're not really sure. It might be a little high. Well, you do realize that we're in a seller's market, so a lot of the properties that are on the market are going at or above purchase price. So I don't know, you know, we may want to have you talk to a lender so that I'm not showing you property that's outside of your price range. I don't think that would be fair to you, do you? Motivation. So tell me what your current situation is. Tell me what your current living situation is. Oh, we're renting. Oh, great. Are you month to month, or do you have a lease? Well, we have a lease until July. Well, geez, this is April. So are you in a position to break the lease if we were to go out and look at property and you would find the one that you fell in love with? No, I can't really break the lease. Well, so what we could do is set you up on a search. It wouldn't make sense for me to show you property today because everything's going to be under contract by the end of May when we're ready to start looking. So why don't we just set you up on a search, and let's set up an appointment for you to come in about 3 weeks, and then we'll get to work. Agent, have you looked at any other properties with any other agents? Well, we've been to a few open houses, or we did look at a property on 123 Main Street with Joe Smith with Coldwell Banker. Okay, great. Did you sign any paperwork with Joe Smith? No, we didn't sign anything. Oh, okay, great. Good. Okay. If they said, yes, we signed a bunch of papers, we don't know what we signed, then you say, you know, I might want to see a copy of that because I may not be able to work with you. Mortgage. Are you a cash buyer or do you need to take a mortgage? I was so intimidated by asking that question when I first got into the business, like, a cash buyer, are you kidding me? Like, I don't want to ask anybody that. Like, who's got cash to buy a house? Well, a couple of years ago, I sold a condo in Portland for $1,025,000 cash, sight unseen. Two retired lawyers from New York City who were vacationing in Santa Barbara, California. That was a little intense, but they were cash. And then what I'd like to do is to set up a time for us to meet and have you come in to Keller Williams, and let's meet so I can position you correctly for this market. Ooh, what does that mean? Well, I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm really clear about the areas that we're going to be looking at. I want to make sure that I get you talking to a lender so I know what you can afford. I want to understand what your current situation is. Now, if they say, well, we have a home in San Jose, California that we're gonna put on the market next week, great. Do you need a recommendation to a top listing agent in San Jose, California? What area, what part of San Jose, what's the zip code? I could definitely be able to recommend a Keller Williams agent for you to interview to list your property. Now you've just set yourself up for a 25% referral fee. The mortgage and then the appointment. So, the other thing I want to say to you is, and again, this is going back to buyer consultation, which this class is not about, but I want to set the stage here. When you have that buyer consultation, and this is what I say, what I'd like to do is to set the stage as to what we're going to accomplish in today's meeting, which is going to be about 45 minutes. First and foremost, I'm going to want to know about you and what it is that you're looking for. I want to be able to identify what your financing is, what your current situation is, so that I can be able to help you. And secondly, I'm going to explain to you the process of buying a home and the benefit of working with me. Are you okay with that? Great. Awesome. Okay? So now you're setting the stage. Well, first of all, I need to tell you that we're in a seller's market, which means that there are more buyers than there is existing inventory. So our market here is very fast. You may find yourself in a situation where we look at a property and we find out that there's another offer or offers on the property. You need to be able to be ready for this because it can cause some stress for you, but it is the reality of our market. Okay? Now you can gauge them on whether or not they're ready for this because you've sort of qualified them with all of these. You know, they're month to month, they're ready to go, they're looking to buy, they're looking to be in their home by the end of, May. So this is the time for you to be out looking with them. Here's the other thing that I say, and this is really, really important, and it's true, and your numbers might be different than mine, but they're not gonna be that different. If I'm doing my job properly, I'm gonna be showing you between 4 and 6 properties before I have you under contract. And don't be surprised if the very first property is the one you fall in love with. I don't plan it that way, it happens. If you don't tell them what the expectation is, I've heard people go, oh my God, we've been looking for a year, we've looked at 45 properties, and they're just running around. They're weekend warriors they've become professional house lookers with a weak agent, because the weak agent didn't explain what this market is all about. So that this is a true stat, 4 to 6 properties. As the market shifts, it might be, 5 to 8 or 7 to 10. But this way they have it in their head, okay, so I'm not going to be looking at a lot of properties. So when you're scheduling for appointments, for your showing appointments, you always want to have both parties. If it's a couple, both of them, you got to show both of them at the same time. Don't get caught in the trap of your wife wants to look at property on Tuesday, but you don't have a day off until Wednesday. So she wants to go out on Tuesday, and now I'm going out on Wednesday, and you're going to get back to me by Thursday. Guess what? It's gone. Or I don't know what your wife said to you about what she liked and didn't like and what you liked and didn't like. I want both of you in that property with me because I want to hear what they're saying about the property. Okay? And sometimes buyers need to understand, if you're working with them completely as a buyer agent, you're working for them. Like, it's okay to open up cupboard doors and refrigerators and open up the stove and make comments about how they hate the carpeting and they don't like that purple room. Okay, that's okay for them. They're not hurting my feelings by telling me that. They're telling me that what they like and what they don't like, which is helping me to be able to identify the kind of property that maybe I need to change my search criteria a little bit. Those are just some important things. The other thing that I say to people is, if you're the winning bid on an offer, don't be surprised if you wake up, one of you wakes up, or you both wake up in the middle of the night and you're like kind of freaked out a little bit. Like, it happens, and that's called buyer's remorse. But you need to remember all the reasons you fell in love with this house, and that's okay, that's normal. You gotta tell them stuff like that. You gotta tell them things like, hey, if you drive by a for sale by owner, don't call the for sale by owner. Take a picture of it and text it to me, and with the address, so I know who that for sale by owner is, and I can go ahead and call on your behalf. And my call might be as simple as, hey, my name is Helen McCown, I'm with Keller Williams Realty. No, I'm not calling to list your property. I'm a real estate professional, so it's my job to know everything that's on the market, including properties that are being sold privately. So what I'd like to do is to set up a time to come out and take a look at your property. I have some time this afternoon, or is tomorrow too better for you? I'm no threat to that for sale by owner. It's my job professionally to know the inventory. You don't really want to go in unless you do have a buyer for that property. You don't even know if you have a buyer for the property. You might have a buyer that likes the area and might be a good fit for that house, but you haven't seen the house to know. Some people go in and go, oh yeah, I have a buyer interested in your property, can I come preview it? And then the for sale by owner goes, well, where's the buyer? Well, I didn't really have one. I just set it to get the appointment. Don't do that. Why? It's my job to know the inventory. When can I come see it? And then as you go in and you ask questions, out of curiosity, how did you come up with the price on this property? Do you happen to have any disclosures? No, they never do.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, and you just came up with a price because your neighbor sold their house 3 years ago for that price. Okay. Well, did you know statistically, NAR, National Association of Realtors, has a statistic out there that people selling their own home leave about 12% on the table. So, what do you do professionally? Oh, you work at Unum. Oh, great. What do you do? Oh, you're whatever. Great. That sounds like a big job. So, do you travel a lot? Oh, yeah, you travel all the time. You work a lot? Oh, yeah, 60 hours a week. So, how's this selling your own home working for you, by the way? How are you accommodating the buyers that want to come in and see your property, just out of curiosity? Start causing them a little bit of pain. Yeah.
Yeah, I called on for sale by owner and he works in Boston.
See?
Never around. I was like, hey, so can you show the home? And he was like, I'm only there really on Saturday evening. I'm like, okay.
How's that working for those buyers that want to see it?
Exactly. Who you looking for? I mean, I had a client. I was just looking for home inventory. Same thing.
Yep. Yep.
Keep listening.
Yeah, you just never know. If they don't really post pictures, they don't really post anything, so
It's
you
true.
Really tell. You never know.
Well, and here's the thing. Like most people trying to sell their own home, they want to sell it because they don't want to pay a 5 or a 6% commission. Okay, so you could do one of two things. You could say, hey, listen, I could, if I bring a buyer, and this is why you want to meet with a for sale by owner, not in the presence of any clients of yours. So Cody, let me just explain to you. I know that you're probably selling your own home because you want to save that 5 or 6% commission on listing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. But the nice thing is that if I bring you a buyer, we could position it so that I'm representing the buyer and you're representing yourself, which is what you are choosing to do by selling your own home, correct? Okay, and the great thing is by representing the buyer, I'm making sure all the paper that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's to keep you out of real estate jail. And the nice thing about that is that my professional fee to drive this transaction with a ready, willing, and able buyer is only 3% to Keller Williams Realty. So it's a win-win. Or 4%. Or whatever you choose to charge. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
How often does it happen that somebody sells the property and then finds out later that huge mistakes were made in the process, and then they're in big trouble in one way, shape, or form later on?
I don't know.
I mean, it's gotta happen.
Oh, I'm sure it
If someone
does.
doesn't know what they're.
Yeah, I'm sure. In fact, I was at a closing last week in Camden, and the attorney that was doing the closing bought a home in Wyndham, and I think he did it for sale by owner. And he's an attorney, and there were boundary issues, there were right of way issues, there were all kinds of things that he did not hire and he even admitted it. He said, I was a bonehead
Yeah.
by not hiring the professionals to do this the right way. And I thought I knew it all and I could save money, which ended up, it's turned into a nightmare.
Costing him more than he ever.
Yeah. So these are some scripts. I know you guys all are in script practice and stuff. I kind of want to get to the meat and potatoes of this. So the journey. The typical home buyer searched for 10 weeks and viewed 10 homes. These are NAR statistics. 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. 50% of buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search. Do you all have the app, the KW app on your phone? Do you all? Okay.
It's kind of clunky, I find though. When I do home searches on the KW app, it's not crisp. It's kind of difficult. You have to finesse it a lot. You really have to work with it, I find.
Well, for you as an agent, I would download the Flex app.
Yeah, I use Flex. Like if I every once in a while I'm like, what's my client gonna see? And I go on my Keller Williams app, and it's not super awesome.
Yeah, see, I think it's super awesome because what it does is it picks up all the properties that are around the areas wherever you might be. I was in California a couple of years ago. I was in San Diego. I took a train to Los Angeles. I flew to San Jose, and then I was in San Francisco. And every time I looked down at my phone, homes that were in those areas were popping up on my app. I don't use the app to search for properties. If I'm driving by an area, I just pull my app out to find that property to see what it's listed at. But I mean, it's a great tool to hand out, to send to your people that you might run into in the grocery store. Oh, you might be looking for a home in the springtime? Great, what's your phone number? Here's my app, use it. Don't stay off of Zillow, stay off of, the other sites that aren't very accurate. So get that app out to everybody that you can. 98% of buyers who used an agent viewed real estate agents as a useful information source. Be that source, be that resource. More than 50% of buyers reported finding right homes was the most difficult step in the home buying process. What you're gonna find in this market is you may be writing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 offers for the same set of buyers, and in multiple offer situations, and you've got to be able to kind of, again, set the expectation. We may not get this, there may be cash buyers in this, competing against you. There may be conventional buyers putting more, 20% down. You're a VA buyer, you're 100% financed, or you're an FHA buyer, and there's peeling paint all over this house, so this might not be the right fit for your offer. So if you don't get it, I'll give you a day or 2 to go lick your wounds, but we're gonna get back out there because we're gonna find that house. And that's the biggest, that's the biggest thing, is mentally keeping the buyers sort of charged up. 24% of recent home buyers reported the primary reason for a recent home purchase was a desire to earn a home. 9% purchased a home due to a job-related relocation or move, and 8% bought for the desire to be in a better area or a change in family situation. When you're out and about, you don't need to constantly be talking about the fact that you're a realtor, but you could just be dropping subtle questions like, who do you know that's renting that should be buying? The rents in Portland are horrible.
That's funny that you pointed to him because he just did that on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Mm.
I didn't see that.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
There's just the last Ignite guy said, put a post that says, what's your current rental price, and I'll find you a home with the same payment, give
Yeah.
or take. So I did that, and a few people were posting, and
Yeah,
You had one guy who busted your chops too. He's like, "Oh, I'm paying $400," and you were like, "No problem, I got you covered." And you sent him a $25,000 house in Madawaska.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
It was hilarious. It was great to watch. It was a thing of
Yeah.
beauty.
he didn't say where he wanted to be.
Yeah. But, or who do you know, that, are empty nesters that may be looking to downsize?
That's a big market.
Yeah, it is.
Big market.
And everybody knows somebody who, here's another stat. I love stats. Of the 200 people that you know, there will be 9 real estate transactions that take place in that circle of people. Are they gonna be in Portland, Maine? No, probably not. Are they gonna be anywhere in the country and maybe around the world? Probably. Are we an international company? Could you refer buyer agents and listing agents all around the country with Keller Williams to those people once you know who they are? And you may say to somebody, look, out of the 200 people that you know, there are going to be 9 real estate transactions, and I'm not looking for you to refer, all 9. You don't know, you may not know of all of them, but I sure would love to count on you for referring me at least one piece of that business this year. I'm going to ask for the business. Okay. Another one, who do you know that just had a baby that might be looking for a bigger home? Chunk it down into just very simple questions. And the key is, once you ask a question like that, just zip it. Say no more. Let them process. You just ask them a question. They're running through their data bank of people that they know. Like, I don't know. I might know somebody in Hawaii that might be looking to buy a home. Great. Got you covered. So pretty simple. Here's the thing also about buyers. It doesn't cost a lot of money to work with buyers. You're not buying signs, you're not paying photographers, you're not getting the drone video guy, you're not putting the expensive ads in the magazines and the open house ads in the newspaper. You're working with buyers. You need a good driver's license, and you need a car, and you need your computer, and you need to know how to search for properties.
And a good mileage log.
And a good mileage log. Yeah. Yeah. So find the right home, show qualified homes, and bring your buyers to a decision. 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process.
Ellen, when you're at like an open house or your buyers want to put an offer right then and there,
Yep.
where are you physically drafting up the offer?
In the office.
And you just go back to the office to do it? Okay.
Yeah. So what I would do in a situation like that, I try to meet them at open houses if I can, and if I can't, and if I know they're going to, to a couple of open houses, I'll say, listen, I'm going to be out showing property in another direction, but if you come upon an open house that you really are interested in, let me know, text it to me, and then I'll just go right on showing. I'll just make an appointment, even if it's right after the open house. So that I swoop in to see it, to lay my eyes on it, and then I'll get their information. I need their formal names, I need their mailing address. It's all information I've already gotten because I did the buyer presentation, okay? But I'm going to need all of that information, and I'm probably going to say, listen, I'm going to need probably an hour, or can you meet me in the office in 2 hours, depending on where I'm at. And I'm going to just start pulling all the paperwork together. So it's really important that you when you meet with buyers, you get the buyer paperwork out of the way and into the system, or even if it's not in the system, out of the way. The worst that could happen is they call you, they love the house, they want to make an offer. You're in Naples showing property, and now you've got to bomb down to Portland to put together the offer because all the offers need to be in by 5 o'clock. So you're already on a time crunch. You don't wanna be preparing the buyer paperwork and the offer at the same time, and it's just, sometimes it happens because you might meet a buyer for the first time, and they don't wanna sign any paperwork, they just wanna understand how this all works, and you say, well, great, I'll put together the buyer paperwork, and the next time we get together, I'll have you sign it, or I'll send it to you to sign electronically, and then all of a sudden they call you and they wanna make an offer. Sometimes that will happen. But I always come to the office, because legally, we have to provide them copies of everything that they have initialed or signed. So, and I usually will say, bring your checkbook, because I'm gonna need to have you write out an earnest money check. And they should understand what an earnest money check is, because I went over that in the buyer consultation.
Do you coordinate the offer with the listing agent at all? Like what's gonna
Always.
stay? Or, yeah.
Always. Yeah, that's a good point, because I, as I said earlier, I've been on top teams where, you know, the rainmaker or the listing agents, you know, they'll open up their email and they'll have like 4 offers that they didn't even know were coming in on something. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you write an offer, not giving the professional courtesy of a call to the other agent? And what I do is I'll call and I'll just say, hey, listen, so we're at 123 Main Street, the buyers love it, I am gonna be putting an offer together for you, what can you tell me about the seller situation? Well, what do you mean about the seller situation? Well, so they're getting transferred, they're going to Colorado, okay, great, what would be their ideal closing time frame? Well, they'd really love 45 days if we could get it, okay? So now you have to ask the buyers, how does 45 days look? You probably already know that because you did the buyer consultation, you talked about motivation and what their current living situation was, okay? You know that swing set in the back? I didn't see it listed on the paperwork. Can that stay? What about the washer dryer? Oh no, that belongs to the tenants. That's not gonna stay, okay? So now you know. Now you know how to write a palatable offer that the seller's gonna like, as long as it works for the buyers. And you've told the other agent, you've given the courtesy to the other agent, and hey, I'm bringing you an offer. Now, I had one agent, I had a listing a few months back, and I had one agent send me an offer at 11:30 at night, which I was sleeping. I saw it 6 o'clock the next morning, and she wanted an answer by 9 o'clock in the morning. And it was like $100,000 off the list price. So I called her up and I said, thank you for your offer. I just want to clarify that this wasn't a typo. You know, my list price was $265, and your offer, I think their offer was like $100,000. Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't make a typo. No, that's what my buyers wanted me to write. Oh, okay. So let me ask you, why are you asking for such an urgent response on this offer? Well, we are in an aggressive market, she told me. Okay.
That's just embarrassing.
It was really embarrassing. Yeah. No, so yeah, so just get that fine. Now you may have an agent that says, I'm not at liberty to discuss whether I have an offer. I really can't tell you anything about the seller situation. And you might think that agent's being a jerk, but what the agent, and maybe they are, but probably what that agent is telling you, reading between the lines, is they do not have permission from the seller to disclose that there are other offers, because they may have a seller that has maybe a disability, anxiety, maybe an elder parent that would be completely overwhelmed at the idea of looking at 20 offers. So when you have an agent that says, I'm not at liberty to discuss, just bring me your best offer. Okay, don't cop an attitude with that other agent. They're doing their job. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the checkboxes.
It is a checkbox on the listing.
If
Yes.
they check it, you can't
Yeah.
talk about it.
And if you have, on the listing agreement, there is a checkbox, is this house under surveillance? And if you're the listing agent, you should make sure that people understand that they are going to be under surveillance.
Even at open house.
Yeah. Well, you should have something. You should have something on your printed materials under, property is, is maybe under surveillance during showings. It was actually a lawsuit that took place in Maine. I'm not sure when, but a home was under surveillance. Listing agent didn't disclose to the buyer agent. Buyer agent brought the husband in, and he loved the house. And but he said, I think my wife is going to want to build. She'll be here next week. So agent shows husband and wife the property, same property, a week later, and proceeds to sit at the kitchen table with a bunch of floor plans for new construction. All the time being monitored by the sellers, watching this whole conversation take place in their home.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And they had to be like, they had to leave for the day, do random
Well,
things.
they were. I think they were out of state,
Oh,
but
okay.
they were watching the whole thing, and the agent was not representing their house in the best interest of showing their home, because now she's shifting gears and showing them new construction stuff and other potential listings, but all the while sitting at their kitchen table. So if you do see that the property is going to be under surveillance, you absolutely want to prepare your buyers for that, because it is a weird thing. I had this happen a couple of weeks ago where we met the listing agent, and she told us that we were being watched. And as we stood outside in the driveway, we could see the blinds closing and the lights all turning off. The guy was in Virginia, and he was turning everything off, but he could still see us on the premises. So that's when you want to say to people, listen, keep your comments to yourself until we have a chance to get out of the house, and then you can tell me anything you feel like telling me, or maybe jot down some notes.
What qualifies as under surveillance now? Because with all the, like the Nest systems with thermostats and
Yep.
controlling things, and Alexa repeating things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can walk in and you can, it's kind of apparent, like you may see that there are cameras all around a property, and if you see that, you just need to motion to your people to, be aware of it, because maybe the listing agent didn't put it on their information, or they didn't tell you. I don't know what qualifies. I just know that if you have any inkling, if it's your listing, you should disclose that, in my opinion. I don't know what the law is, but I just think it's professional courtesy. Because people, as I said earlier, I want buyers to be very candid with me. Oh, I hate the carpet, I hate that blue paint. But I may caution them on saying that while they're being watched. When you're going through a property, and we're going to get into this, I want you to get in the habit of having a listing sheet just for you, and a listing sheet and disclosures for your buyers. And on your listing sheet, as you're walking through, I want you to be writing notes, feedback. Showed great. Showed terribly. Mudroom needs to be decluttered. Great curb appeal. Smelled like fish. Cat box was disgusting and overflowing, and clean it up or whatever. Because if you're working with 2 or 3 sets of buyers over the course of a weekend, you may be looking at 20 homes. And if you don't stay ahead of that feedback, you're going to get a call on Monday morning from somebody that says, hey, what'd you think of my house on Oak Street? And you're going to go, geez, Oak Street. Let me think about that. I don't remember. Let me call you back. Or this happens. Oh, you know what? I saw 20 homes this weekend. We're already under contract with those buyers. I don't remember it, but terrible feedback. Oh, let me look that up, sorry, I'm sorry that I didn't get back to you after the showing. Yeah, great curb appeal, looks great, you know, I think you've got it priced right, or I don't think you have it priced right. From what I saw in that price range, honestly speaking, I think you're 10 grand too high. And they'll thank you for that, because they've probably been looking for that kind of feedback. They've probably been asking the seller for a price reduction for 2 weeks. And the seller just, nah. Now all of a sudden they get a really good agent that says you're 10 grand too high based on what's out there. Because you're gonna realize, if you're working with buyers, you're looking at far more homes than listing agents are. Okay? And if you're a buyer agent, on a team, that should be a selling point for you. You know? I look at about 200 homes a month as a buyer agent. So I know the inventory better than most agents. I know I can walk into an open house, I don't even need to see the paperwork, I can walk through and I say, this property is listed at $259.9, what do you have it listed at? And usually they'll pull up a paper, $259.9. That's how good you get when you look at a lot of real estate. That's why previewing properties is good. Going to open houses is great. Broker tours is a good thing to go on, because you kind of get to see a lot of inventory in a lot of different price ranges. So feedback is super important.
Ellen, do you bother to view the lender pending the continued show?
I will usually call and talk to the agent. Yeah, what can you tell me about this property on Summit Circle? You know, I know it's under contract, continue to show. Is it worth me bringing a buyer in there for a backup offer? Oh, no, slam dunk. You know, we already had the, appraisals tomorrow, we've already gone through inspections, I need to change that status. Or, absolutely, bring somebody in. I'm definitely encouraging a backup offer, which is telling me that they have some concerns about maybe that first offer. Okay, so preview homes, prepare and educate yourself on the homes. Okay, your job, prepare and educate yourself on the homes and demographics. You guys need to know what you're looking at. Like, you don't need, like, if you're looking at 5 properties on Saturday, you don't really, you wanna maybe highlight, like, square footage, year built, DOM, days on market. That's a big indicator. If you've got something that's over 30 days or 60 days on the market or 100 days, then you want to look at the history on the property, like what's been going on with this property? Like, why hasn't it sold? Was it not priced right? Did it go under contract? Is it back on the market? So I usually will call an agent, what can you tell me about this property? It's been on the market for a long time. Oh yeah, well we had a buyer 3 days before closing, the buyer's financing fell through, and then he tried to get financing for another 2 months, we lost all this money, whatever. There's gonna be all kinds of things that will tell you.
Is there a quick way to look at the average days on market per town, so you have an idea of
I'm sure there is. I'm sure that's one of the reports.
There is in command, but it's not really working yet. Like a lot of it has that function built in, but most of them are unavailable.
Yes, that's what I've been seeing.
It'll be there eventually, I'm sure.
I think it's really important, again, determining what the needs of the property are. If they say they need 3 bedrooms, we'd really like a 4th bedroom. Why is that 4th bedroom important to you? Well, I work a lot out of my home, so I would like to have a home office. You've got to be able to be really clear about what they want and what they don't. And I had a situation a number of years ago where some people, I can't remember where they were from, they came in from out of state, and we had talked on the phone and emailed, and I had sent them all these searches. We had a whole day lined up of properties, and the very first property they walked into, they said, oh, this master bedroom is just way too small. And I said, really? They said, we need at least 20 by 20 master bedroom. And I was like, we didn't talk about that. So rather than pushing, well, we have all these properties to see, let's keep going, I said, you know what, we didn't talk about that. Let me just do this. Let's pull over, I'll buy you breakfast at Becky's Diner or wherever. I need to stand outside and make a bunch of phone calls. And I started banging out calls. Or I think I called somebody in my office, which usually use each other as resources too, guys. So if you're ever in a situation like that, I could say, hey, listen, I need you to call these 3 listing agents and find out what the master bedroom size is. And as it turned out, I had nothing to show them that day. And they were okay with it. Like, they appreciated the fact that I wasn't gonna burn their day up in Maine. So I drove them back to their hotel. They went to LL Bean, or they did something fun for the day, and I was able to redefine my search, and the next day we went back out, and we showed them homes that fit their criteria. Sometimes that stuff happens, like they didn't tell me, I didn't think to ask, but if you do run into that, and you know that the next few homes are definitely not going to work, and then you're better off not showing them. There are going to be times when you might, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, how much time, like, if you're showing a bunch of homes, how much time do you give when you're making appointments between them, like?
That's a good
guess
question.
For each one.
Yeah, so, I actually, 20 minutes of showing is what I allow for, and then whatever the travel time is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay? And then if they wanna see it again, we'll set up a second showing. So, a lot of times I'm gonna show, 5 or 6 properties in one shot. Because of what I said, if I'm doing my job properly, I'm gonna show you between 4 and 6 properties before I have you under contract. Don't be surprised if the first one is the one you fall in love. That's a script, by the way. My whole buyer presentation is one big script.
Is it usually the first one?
A lot of times it is. And it's just weird. But, so it's important that you tell them that might happen, because when it happens, you told them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe it, you told me that was gonna happen, but, and you're gonna have some people that go, okay, what do we do now? This is it, what do we do now? Okay, you're gonna have some people that will do that. You're gonna have other people go, oh my God, we don't even wanna leave, this is our home, but we haven't looked at enough properties to know this is really the right one. Well, that's why we're gonna look at 4 or 5 more. So we're gonna keep going, and meanwhile, I'm texting or calling the other agent, hey, we really love that property, do you have any offers on it? Yeah, I'm expecting one later today. Okay, when are you presenting your offers? Tomorrow at noon. Cool. I may wanna get in there in a couple of hours at the end of the other showings. Can I get back in there at 2:15? Okay, awesome, all right? So now you've alerted the other agent that you're circling around that property, and now you've gone and you've helped solidify in the buyer's mind that the next 5 are no-goes, and they're really super charged up about that first one. So that happens.
Do you always show the one that you think might be the best property first for them?
No.
Just, yeah.
No. Sometimes I know. I do what makes the most sense geographically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get out-of-state buyers?
If you've got listings, you've got, when we drop a listing, it syndicates to over like 380 websites. So all the websites and everything. So you get a lot of leads coming in from different parts of the world, country and world and all that. And when you get a lead, you want to jump on it, like right away, immediately, like within 5 minutes. And if you're on a team, you're probably getting a lot of leads, and you're probably like, oh God, another lead. Like, do you know how many people would like fight for a lead? You know what I mean? I used to go, oh God, 3, 4 more leads today. I'm exhausted. And I look at it now, it's like, that's gold, So, yeah, and the key is just to be, very prompt and professional. And if you have to leave a message, great. Then send them an email, or maybe you don't have an email. a lot of times you will, if they come in on an internet lead, they're gonna have to, sometimes it's bad, incorrect emails or incorrect phone numbers. But there are ways to try to find people. And I had one couple, in the Boston area, and I don't know how many messages I left, just very, hey, saw that you were on the website looking at some properties on the West End, just checking in to see if I can help with your search. Have a great day, here's my number. And then I would email, once in a while I would text, never heard back from them. And about a year of just casually pursuing them and following up, I get a text message one day. Hey, we're coming to Portland and we'd love to look at something in, whatever. And it was they were $1 million homes. And I ended up selling them something on the West End. So you're not doing yourself a service if you're not staying in touch with people. And a lot of times people go, I've left them 3 messages. They're not doing anything. Well, statistically, it's usually about the 8th attempt on following up with a lead before they respond to you. And I've had many people over the years say, I've met people at open houses, I've talked to people from internet leads, people that I just walked into their businesses on, that I gave my card to, that a year, 2, 3, 5 years later, I don't know if you remember me, but you met us at the open house in North Yarmouth 5 years ago. We weren't ready to buy, but I kept your card all these years because we knew that when we were ready, we wanted to work with you. And the other thing with open houses, just side note, is a lot of people that come into open houses are quietly observing how you conduct yourself in an open house, because they may be quietly shopping for who's going to be hosting their open house and listing their home when they're ready to sell. So it's a very interesting thing on a Sunday to go out and just randomly go to open houses with agents, either KW agents, and just mix it up, just go to open houses. You'll be amazed at how vastly differently agents do open houses. You may have somebody that's flipping through the channel. Hey, come on in. Yeah, there's pamphlets on there. I'm watching the game here. If you got any questions, give me a call. Or, hey, welcome to the open house. My name is, a couple things I want to point out. The roof is new. Buderas boiler is new. And I have permission to tell you that the sellers are moving to Canada, and they would love a 30-day close if anybody's interested. If it's not your open house, you should identify that you are not representing the seller. So what I say is, hey Matt, welcome, glad you're coming in and everything. Full disclosure, I am not the listing agent. I do not even know the seller. I do know that they're moving to Canada, and I do know that these things I'll point out. I'm here specifically for any buyers that don't have representation that might need an agent to help them. I don't know that a lot of listing agents say that to people, but I think it's really important for you guys to be aware of that, especially when the market gets really, really heated up. If you're hosting the open house and you're the listing agent, you may get 100 people at the open house, and you may get some timid buyers that come up to you and say, excuse me, we don't know how any of this works, but we would like to make an offer on this house. Can you help us? Okay? That listing agent goes, sure, I can do that. It's a thing called disposal agency. Here, sign here, and let's sign all this paperwork, and da-da-da-da. And so the buyers think they're fully represented, which they're not, because they're a dual agent. And maybe, just maybe, 3 weeks into the deal, she's out to here pregnant, and radon comes in at 4.3. EPA standards calls for anything over 4.0 to have mitigation. So, well, don't you think we should ask for, radon mitigation? And the listing agent says, it's nothing, it's fine, we're in Maine, doesn't mean anything. I wouldn't say that. If I were a buyer agent, I'd be saying, hey, dude, we need mitigation, done. But I don't want that responsibility of something happening to anybody in that house. But, so, there's a little fine line on, and I'm saying, if you're gonna do disclosed dual agency, do it, keep reminding yourself of where your fiduciary duties lie.
Even if there is a disclosable agency, isn't that agent not allowed to say it's nothing, don't do anything about it?
Well, they technically shouldn't be.
Because that's also a suggestion and an opinion of mine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Sometimes agents speak for their sellers. Oh, he's not gonna do that. He's already paying closing costs. Well, I need to have a level of comfort that you're actually going to ask the seller. Or maybe I need to put in formal writing. But see, if it's a disclosed dual agent, they may be like the gatekeeper, preventing that buyer from even getting that word to the seller. And I'm not saying that in a bad, negative way. Some people do disclose dual and they do it well. But I think some agents do it because they see a bigger gain, a bigger check at the end of the closing, and is that in the best interest of the parties they're serving? Or
So let's say you're on a team and you're the listing agent, but you brought your buyer's agent with you on your team at the open house.
Yep.
To maybe encounter some buyers. Could that buyer agent, be the buyer agent working,
yeah.
with you?
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to be be very mindful of what kind of information are you hearing as the listing agent, and your buyer agent is hearing.
Yeah.
If somebody says, well, I don't even know if I'm going to qualify because I had that bankruptcy a couple of years ago, and I know my credit's blemished. Already that buyer's telling that listing agent way too much information.
But yet your buyer agent already knows a lot about the seller, and now your buyer agent's going to represent the buyer. So is that kind of a sticky situation?
Well, it is a sticky situation.
Yeah.
I don't know why. See, I think it should be one or the other. If you're a listing agent and you want to do your own open house, that's great. However, if somebody comes to you and says, I'm interested in making an offer, can you help me? You have to go and look at your paperwork and what your listing agreement is with that seller. Did they agree to dual agency? And if they said no, and they want your representation 100%, you can say, you know what? I can't help you, but I have an agent that that will be able to represent you as a buyer.
So an agent on your own team.
It can be, and then you
Right.
get a referral fee, or however you structure it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are the states that just won't allow dual agency?
I think probably. Yep. Okay. So we're going to go through. You always want to know these showing instructions. Shoes off, honor that. Don't let the cat out. Pay attention to that. Leave a business card. Turn all the lights off. Please lock the door. Things like that. Be very mindful of it. Ring the doorbell or knock on the door, even if it looks like nobody's home. Record your own comments on your copy of the MLS sheet for each property. We talked about that. Have your buyers give descriptive names to help them visualize the homes. The Great View House, the Creek House, the Fountain House, the Smelly Cat House. That happens. They'll name it. Well, we already said we didn't like the basement in the creepy house, but you guys like the cat house and the mildew house, or the house with the green room, and that happens, and that's just so just understand it happens. Touring properties, avoid making comments. Avoid you making comments. Like, you don't want to be that agent going, oh my God, I can't believe this gross carpet, and they say, oh, we love it. Okay. So, as an agent or as a buyer, they're looking at everything, and they're trying to figure out where the TV's going to go, and then the sectional sofa, and the coffee table, and the dining room set. And you, as an agent, you're gonna be looking at the disclosures. How old is the roof? What kind of fuel consumption is it? What are the taxes? Is there an tax exemption on that? You're gonna be wanting to look at that, okay? You're gonna be looking at the furnace, and you're gonna be pulling down the service record and seeing when was it last serviced and put it back up, okay? So, but you're gently, listening to their comments as you're walking through the house. And then you may, when there's an opportunity, you may say things like, so the last home that we looked at was 1,500 square feet, and this one's 1,700 square feet. How does this feel to you? Is this a better fit for you? Does the other one that we just looked at feel more manageable to you? This one has a homestead exemption, so the taxes of $3,800 are going to be slightly higher when you buy this property for the first year, and we can talk about that later. But just some subtle comments. The last home that we looked at used 1,300 gallons of oil, and this has a more efficient boiler and only used 600 gallons. So those are some things that you're just going to be educating your clients on. Our job is to educate, present options, and let the buyers decide, okay? Let your buyers come, well, avoid making comments, let your buyers come to their own conclusion, ask questions. You want to get inside their heads and determine if this home is really a match for what they want. Help buyers identify their perfect home by pointing out the benefits, not the features that align with the needs, wants, and values you already have identified. New windows mean you'll have lower utility bills, so you'll have some extra spending money every month. Have the buyers rank the houses that you have in order of 1 to 5. If you're working with a couple, have them do it at the same time to see if they're on the same page. And that's really important. Sometimes you're going to have buyers that, he likes new and she likes the old. So you're going to have to sort of really peel the onion a lot with those people to just kind of come to some. Maybe you find an older home that's been very tastefully updated. Now you may have found the right fit for them, because his concern, why are you so concerned about buying an old home? Because of all the work that's needed. Because I'm concerned about the foundation. I'm concerned about, all the heating system costing, the fuel costing too much. Well, this home has been completely renovated. It's got a Buderus boiler, it's got new windows, it has, new, energy efficiency rating, it's got new insulation. So all, the basement's been reinforced. It's all of those things that you were concerned about no longer should be a concern because of all the work that they've done to this old house. And by the way, your wife loves it.
The agent who brought me here when I talked to her recently told me, be prepared, because a lot of what we do is marriage counseling.
Yeah.
It's rare that you find a couple where they're both on the same page with real estate.
Yep.
A lot of times you're talking the husband or the wife into, listen, they love it. Would you really be uncomfortable living there? It's a difficult line.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's true, but very seldom are you going to sell a home to somebody that he loves and she hates.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a love-hate, but it's like a love and okay.
Yeah.
The very type of lukewarm, like, I guess I could do it.
Yeah, so what I say to buyers is, if you're describing any of these properties to somebody at work tomorrow morning, and you use the word but, it's not the right house. Because that but doesn't go away. And it's great, because when you tell but, they're like, we love this house and it doesn't have any buts. Like, no buts, yay! Tell them that. Because I think a lot of people, and especially where you set the stage, 5 to 7 homes, and maybe they've looked at 7 and they haven't found the right one, so now you're going to go back out and look at more. They're trying to force something to happen because they think it's supposed to happen, and they're trying to fall in love with a house. But the bedrooms are too small. But You don't like that smell in the basement. Those, it is, but
But
it's
the
right
order
on
they're
295. Yeah, but
Yeah, at
you
some
can't
point you get
remove
to the
that.
point where you're like, you know what?
We're homeless.
Yeah, or we're gonna be in another week. That happened to my wife and I. And the bedrooms are tiny, but we love the community and it works
We're dry.
fine. So that's the only but. Like it actually ends up being perfect.
What about, there's not, a lot of inventory though, so do you have that kind of luxury to say?
Well, that's why you
There's
have
only
that
one but.
Yes.
There's only one
There's
but.
only one.
Well, the
It's not
other,
too bad.
the other thing that you can do is, not everything is on the MLS, okay? For sale by owners or not, which is why I strongly suggest you do what I said earlier. You may find some stuff on Craigslist that may be for sale by owners. You may also go back into expired listings. Expired listings are people that wanted to sell at one point in time and their home for whatever reason didn't sell. So, hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Helen LeCount. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I noticed you had a home that expired off the market. Are you still interested in selling? Yeah, I am. Okay. Why do you think your house didn't sell the last time? Well, our agent was lazy. They didn't do anything to help us out, really. I don't know, we reduced the price a few times. Well, I'm working with some buyers that love your neighborhood, and I'm not making any promises, but it's my job as a real estate professional to know all the inventory that's out there. Would it be possible for me to set up a time to come and take a look at your property and meet you? Well, I'm not looking to list right now. Oh, I'm not asking you to list at all. I just have a buyer who's interested in your area, and I noticed that at one point you were interested in selling your home. Get the appointment. That's what you got. The goal for you guys is appointments. Go see a property. Go preview a property. Go meet somebody for coffee. Go to a networking group. Stop in at a store and hand out 5 business cards. Just shake it up. All right. So we've gone over this. These are all the basics. Mindful of pets. Leave a card. Always leave a card. Make sure to secure and lock the house when you leave. Notify the listing agent if you notice anything is wrong. And you may get back in your car and go, oh, basement light's on, or left the porch light on. Get out of your car and go and unlock the door and turn the lights off. Okay? Because they're going to say something to their agent, who's going to probably say something to you. So make it right. You know? If you drive into a property and you go to the property and the buyers go, we don't even want to see this one. We don't like the neighborhood. You know what? I can respect that. I made the appointment. I have a professional obligation to go see this property. So sit in this car if you want, but I'm going in. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna lay my business card. I may whip through the house pretty quickly. Go down to the basement, take a look at everything. But I saw the property, so I can give that other agent feedback. Don't be that agent. I forgot to call and cancel. We didn't see it. They didn't like the neighborhood. Sorry. They took the dog to the doggy daycare. They vacuumed. They had to get the little kids dressed and out of the house for this showing.
And they were holding their breath on an offer.
Yeah. And maybe they were monitoring the property.
That's terrible.
So do you tell them, my clients didn't come in, but I checked it out myself?
You could, or you could just give feedback. I mean, if you don't think you're under surveillance, if you don't have any reason to believe that you were under surveillance, you could just say, yeah, the house showed great. It's not the right fit. The neighborhood is not the right fit for the buyers. But I may have some other buyers interested. You know, I'll keep watching this one. Okay, so that's all pretty. I'm gonna jump into Flex at this point. Let's see. Recognizing buyer signals. Okay. Well, we might as well talk about it. Buying signals are body language and facial expressions. When you walk into the one, you'll know it. Everybody knows it. You're high-fiving, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, you know. And you need to be on that phone with that other agent to say, hey, you know, do you have any other offers? We're bringing you an offer. What can you tell me about the seller situation? When are you presenting offers? You know, don't be that person that lowballed that offer and wanted an answer by 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, you may have a buyer that is flying out, they're catching a flight out of Boston at noontime tomorrow morning. So we are going to be aggressive and writing an offer, and I want an answer by 8 o'clock tonight. Because if you don't take our offer, we're making another offer on the other property that they liked equally as much, okay? But have the professional courtesy of, hey Cody, my guys are leaving for a flight in California tomorrow at noon, so I'm gonna write a really aggressive offer. I need to know if you can present it, but before 8 o'clock tonight. Cody says, I can't, you know, it's my kid's birthday party, and, you know, it's my wife's, you know, our anniversary, I can't, whatever. Just don't shove that offer down somebody's throat and expect them to just drop everything they're doing to present the offer because you didn't ask if it was, you know, what they could do to help you out. Any questions? Visualize furniture. I went over all that, didn't I? Sitting down in the house, a lot of people will sit. A lot of people will all of a sudden, you'll turn around and they're sitting on the couch, or they're sitting at the table, and then you sit down at the table with them, and you talk about the house. Becoming protective, not wanting other buyers to see that they're super protective. Like, you know, they'll steal the key so nobody else can get in. Ask for a second showing, raising objections. Showing properties is really fun, and there's kind of an art to it. The normal inclination is you drive up to a property and you drive into the driveway, and what do you see? You're staring at the garage door. Think about that. And this happened to me by complete accident, because I was that drive in the driveway and look at the door all the time, until one day, it was raining here in Portland. I was with KW, and I left to show a property in Standish. It rained all the way out. It was a summer day. And for whatever reason, I parked on the side of the road. And people came behind me, and we stood out, and we looked at the home, and I'm not kidding you, there was a double rainbow. It was like a picture-perfect double rainbow. This is a true story. And a bunny hopped across the front lawn, and this guy in a truck goes driving by with his, you know, John Deere hat. It was like the Chevy Chase movie, you know. It was like we just all looked at each other and just laughed. They bought the house. They bought the house.
I'm shocked that's the way that ends.
Yeah, but we would have missed it all. But you know what's cool about it, when you do that, you've got the full-on view of the home. So you're seeing the home, you're seeing the roof, the chimney. Does it have a chimney cap? How does the foundation look? What does the curb appeal look like? Is it a tar driveway? Is it a gravel driveway? Are there dents in the garage door? You know, I mean, those are things that, and it was raining, so a lot of times when it's raining out, or it had stopped, but if it was raining, a lot of times people just run in and look in the interior of the property, and then they run back out in the car, and then they drive slowly by and they look at the property. That's very different than being able to really kind of look at that like that. So I definitely recommend that. I was always taught to put yourself in harm's way when you're showing property to a buyer, where you actually knock on the door, hello, anybody home? And you're the one to step through. I still do that. I got a little scared when I heard Mike Mercier, who's a retired Philadelphia cop who teaches safety here, saying that was the wrong thing to do. And if you have any concerns about who you might be showing, you wouldn't want to be that first person in. you let them go in, first, so that you're not pushed in. Or you're not leading them into the basement, that you're the last you're following them into the basement, especially if they're complete strangers. Again, which is why I say, make the appointment and get them in the office. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're running out, first time ever, and meeting complete strangers. That's just not a good idea. At least get them in so you get a feel for who they are. Some agents or agencies, or maybe agents, have a policy of taking photocopies of people's driver's licenses, so that people on their team or on their office know who they're out with. It's also a good idea sometimes if you are going to be meeting strangers to have a buddy call, have another agent call you during the showing, just to check in, and maybe there's a buzzword that you might say, hey, you know what, I need that red folder from the office, I forgot. Or there's something that they're saying to you to alert the other person that they might not be comfortable with doing what they're doing. Or bring another agent on a showing if you feel like that.
Helen, do you have like a toolbox of just in case things that you bring in back in the car?
Yeah, flashlight is good. Like an X-Acto knife is good for like cutting rope if you need to.
Tape measure.
Tape measure always, yeah.
Calculator.
Calculator, first aid kit is always good to have. Bottled water is always good to have. Snacks, especially if you're, especially if people are traveling with you. And that's another thing. Like a lot of times, like if you're dealing with somebody local and they're at work and you're going to show property at 5 o'clock after work, then the most common thing is you're just going to meet them at the property. If they're coming in from out of state, and again, the safety guide scared me about this, but I still do it and will always do it. I meet them at their hotel. We're all ready to go. I drive up, I meet them at the hotel, and they get in my car, and we spend the day looking at property. So I'm going to make sure there's snacks and waters, and it's comfortable and all that and everything. Some people aren't comfortable with that. Some people don't want to have. I think there's a missed opportunity if you have people from away and you have them following you, especially if they're from away. Like I have the tour of Portland down pat, like West End, East End, downtown, over the bridge, Shore Road, Fort Williams, like if people want to get a tour of the area, you have to you have to determine, do I want to spend my day or a half a day with these people that I don't know are even going to end up in Portland, building rapport with them and showing them my value. Kind of think, yeah. But other agents are like, if they're not here to buy, I'm not interested in spending the time. So that's just, this is your business on how you want to run it. Okay, so I'm going to get into some Flex. You all on Flex? Just getting on? Okay. All right. So I am just going to keep things a little simple here. I live in Westbrook. I'm going to do a tour. I'm going to look at some things in Westbrook. I want at least 3 bedrooms, 3 to 4 bedrooms. I want at least 1 to 3 baths. All right, and obviously you can get very specific. You can, get into all kinds of very, very specific detail by going under additional search options. If they say we only want bottled gas, we only want natural gas, we need to have a fireplace in the master bedroom, we need to have an in-law apartment, all of that. But I'm going to just keep things very basic for now. So we have 13 matches. Right now, I'm just gonna look for actives. Maybe that's what I did wrong. So I'm just gonna use this for the nine search results. Okay, so you can change pricing if you want to make any adjustments. Up here, sort ascending, so you go from small, I like to see smallest to largest. So the way you're looking at this is the MLS number of the property, the physical address, what style home, number of rooms, number of bedrooms, full baths, half baths, year built, and DOM. Okay, now these are fairly new listings. This one on Berkeley has been 83 days on the market. This other one on Cumberland has been 274. That's a unique property because it's a bed and breakfast Victorian, so that's not your normal everyday kind of property that everybody's going to be looking for.
This is a big investment.
Yeah. So say you have now you have two different kinds of reports that you can access. One is here and one is here. So the report would look like this, the way it looks now. And then this, if you want to kind of mix it up on the reports. I prefer this one myself. Now, if you want to see the photos, you all know to look at photos here. I don't know what you know and don't know, so I'm going really basic here. These are not very good photos because they're not sized correctly. You know, when you're new,
Look at cell phone photos.
they're cell phone photos. When you're new and you've got to do cell phone photos, I get it, but the more experience you get and as you start making money, you want to be that agent every time that agent brings on a listing that you have like great photographs, awesome photographs.
Do we have a photographer here, or is there?
Everybody uses a different I mean, we all have photographers that are our go-tos, and there are like aerial photographers, and there are video photographers and all that. And I could give you some names of some people as you need them. All right, so we want to go look at these properties. Oh, let me back up here. Okay. So this one just came on the market the other day at $259. It's a colonial, built in 2013. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths for 1,152 square feet.
So Helen, like knowing the Westbrook market, what's your initial reaction like that?
What's my initial
What do you say to yourself? Like, oh, it's too high, that's spot on. So you know the market so well.
Yeah, the market's gotten kind of squirrely. I'll tell you the one that's really bombed out. Shouldn't do this. Really bombed out is this guy, Constitution Drive. He listed it at $299. Too high. He's still too high. It went under contract, came back on the market. He's had a whole bunch of open houses. and this is where you really need to get good at knowing the inventory and what's priced right and what's not. When you have, when you're looking to price a property, you can look at currents to see what your competition's gonna look like, but don't use those currents as your way of pricing your listing. You could look at pendings, but we don't know what those are pending for. Your most important thing is to look at the solds, because we're seeing more price reductions lately than we have, which is telling me that people are overpricing properties. So to answer your question, that's an overpriced property, still is, okay? Anything that hasn't moved, you know, there are probably 60 people the first day on open house. I mean, people were clamoring, it's perfect, that's my neighborhood. So it's a high demand neighborhood.
It looks a little bit nicer, but it looks like it closed last September at
Yeah.
180.
Yeah, it's an investor.
Yeah.
He bought it, he threw some money into it,
Yeah.
and he wants to make money. Yeah, right? I know, right? He either spent too much money or he's being a little too greedy.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so to answer your question, when I look at property like 259 Pierce Street, yeah, would I say that this is probably priced to sell? Yeah. It's cute, it's clean. You know, it's gonna make a really good, it's a first time home buyer price range, it's gonna be, it's a good fit for somebody. Alright, so going back to detail, square footage, that's important for you to know. It's a tiny lot though, it's a .08 lot. So you're gonna have the young couple who are gonna love this property, and maybe you need to say to young couple, I know you love this property, and you're getting married in September. Gotta ask you, what does the next 5 years look like for your family? Oh, well, we're planning on at least 2 kids in the next 5 years. 700 square feet, I might want to sell you something that you're gonna grow into, because you're gonna grow out of this one pretty quickly. Just saying. And it's a small yard, and it's a busy road. So small yard, kids, busy road might not be a good fit. But again, educate, inform, and let the buyers make the decision. Okay, so this is the descriptions, and then under here is list agent office information, which will usually give you maybe internal remarks. Yeah, please contact Anna Decker for more information. That's an internal showing remark. Showing instructions, mechanical lockbox, notice required, showing time, sign on property. Okay, so I think, so this property does not give me the option to set this showing up on showing time. I have to call that agent, which is the agent and her number that the showing instructions told me to call. However, if I go to Constitution Drive, showing time, and there's also a showing time app. See, this guy, like, he doesn't even have a photo on this property up here. Really bugs me. So I want to schedule a single showing. And today's blocked off till 10, because it's 10 now. But I want to set up a showing for 2 o'clock this afternoon. And I can share with this other agent why I'm going in. So the first showing, the second showing, am I previewing it? Agent preview? Is it an appraisal, inspection, photography, or a walkthrough? A walkthrough is what you do right before you close on a property. Or you don't need to do anything. You can just leave it as a showing.
So is the walkthrough immediately before you proceed to the office for a closing?
Typically, yeah.
It's usually, I like to do them the day of, like the morning of a closing. So that, and the whole idea with a walkthrough is that you're making sure you're looking at the fuel well, you may have already looked at the fuel like a week ago to give the numbers to the title company. But if the buyer is reimbursing the seller, they need to write they need to reimburse the seller for the oil, if you put that in there. I always say when you're writing an offer, use the word existing in front of your personal property. Existing stove, refrigerator, dishwasher, washer, dryer. I had a bad situation years ago. I wrote that, existing, all that, and went to do the walkthrough, and the refrigerator had been swapped out. That white, pretty Kenmore was swapped out for this big ass, ugly avocado green with the big silver flangy hands from the 70s. And I'm like, I called the other agent, I said, we have a problem. Get that refrigerator back in and get that ugly thing out of here. And he said, oh my God, I don't know why he did that. He called me back and said he sold it. I said, well, we are gonna have a conversation at closing, before we close. And so we met, and the seller agent, and I met in a conference room, and I said, we're not closing. We're not closing. The only way we're closing is you write my buyers a check for $500. So they can buy a new refrigerator and with a company that will take that old one out. And he wanted to close. He needed to close. But I protected the buyers by using the word existing. If you don't, and I went back to, oh my God, what did I write in the contract? Refrigerator. If you're writing an offer for multi-units and it's a 3-unit, don't say all appliances. Because when you go through the walkthrough and you see that 2 dishwashers are missing and there's no washer dryers, and they were there when you saw the property, and there's a stove missing on the 3rd floor, and you go, yeah, but it was in the contract. Well, let's see the contract. All appliances? Are you kidding me? 3 stoves, 3 refrigerators, washer dryer in unit 1, washer dryer unit 3. Like, be specific, okay?
You have to be even as specific to say that what's actually in there, so that you don't end up with avocado.
Existing, and the photographs on the listing should protect you. But if you feel you need to, as you're walking through, click, 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 click.
So if the property is sold as is, that means everything in there should be in it, right?
Yeah, but then.
Well, there should be an inventory list on both the fixtures and the personal property. What is it called on the disclosure of the personal property?
Well.
There's the fixtures and.
Personal property,
There's
sorry, the
personal
appliances.
property? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so then my next move is going to tell them, like, I don't put the buyer's names in. But I may say, hey, Lisa, really liking this one. I may be writing an offer. Do you have any? Please let me know. Because the second I hit yes, my cell phone, I'm going to get a text alert that I've been confirmed. And it's going to give me the showing instructions and the lockbox code. And that listing agent is getting alerted that I've requested a showing. So that they know that I'm going in at 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, so they may say, hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm told I'm getting an offer at 1. You call me from there at 3 if you're going to be making an offer, because I'm meeting the seller tonight at 6 o'clock. And then you would just hit submit, and then you're confirmed. Okay, so now they want to look at 5 properties, those 5 properties on Saturday, so you're going to go to your map feature. And I'm not super great at Flex, because I was really good at Matrix, but
Are you trying to set up the smart route for showing them?
yeah, is it driving directions?
So you could just record the MLS number and stay in the showing time, and just added in a listing stop, and then showing time will do the smart route for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But from one to another, to another?
Yes.
Yeah,
And then
like-
you can add like non-listing stops as well if you need to go
Oh, cool.
to like a coffee shop in between.
Yep.
You can add the address and
Okay.
it'll do it for you.
Okay.
It's just tricky to keep it in that same URL for the showing time, instead of having to go to the showing time website itself when you're connected with the Flex.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play with Flex a little bit more on,
Yeah, you will.
yeah,
Yeah, the mapping function is pretty awesome.
It's above my pay grade.
You and Google. What does this do? Okay. I mean, this is another way, if you just like view in Google and then it'll tell you,
So you're just taking the address and putting the addresses into Google?
No, so when I hit map, let me go back. When I clicked on the 5 or 6 properties that I wanted to see,
Okay.
I went down here to view in Google Maps, because I don't know what I'm doing, so but the other way used to give us driving time between the first and the second property, and the second and the third. Do you know how to do this?
Yes.
Do you wanna come up and show me?
Yes.
Yeah, so remember how we said 20 minutes per showing? So if you have a listing for 20-minute showing, and then you have 10 minutes to get to the next property, all right? So now that's 30 minutes, so then your next appointment, you're going to probably stagger. I kind of overlap them, so if I know I have something at 1 to 1:20, I may say I'm showing up at my next property from 1:15 to 1:30, because I might be ahead of schedule. You might have somebody go, no, don't want to see this.
Yep, I don't think it was.
So then you would go, it's on the, when you add not just a single showing, but multiple showings.
Okay.
And then you would just,
Add them up in
you would just add the
MLS.
MLS. And then say if we choose the second one,
Yeah.
I don't know, but 140. So if we add another stop, that's a 9. Yeah, there's add this. And then from there you can put smart route.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And then it'll show you the map here.
Okay.
And then it also does the time by take 7 minutes over here.
Okay, do you see that, what he's doing there?
And then if you don't want to do the smart route, depending on where you're meeting them, then you can also move it up and down. You know, when you're doing like, if you want to meet them closer to where they live. And then that's about it. And then you pick the time. And then when you're done with that, so same thing what you were doing before.
Okay.
You pick a time.
Oh, cool.
And then when you're done, you would just send requests and it sends out to all of them.
Oh, neat, okay. All right, great. Learn something new every day.
Right?
Every day, that's what I love about this profession. Okay, so that's a really good tool for you to kind of gauge, especially if you're in an area, like if you're in the Lakes region, like Cody lives there, but, you know, I mean, sometimes like Bridgeton or Naples, or you're showing stuff up in Raymond, you know, like I know the area, but I don't like super know it, to know geographically, do I show this one before I show this one before I show this one? So these tools will help you kind of identify that.
Oh, okay.
What other things can I help you with? burning questions do some of you have about anything that we've talked about, showing property, feedback?
Would you ever take clients to a house if they didn't sign the brokerage relationship form already?
Good question. The question is, would you take some, they're not clients, would you take people to a house if they aren't your clients? And again, and I broke every rule when I started, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was working for an agent that had a vacant equestrian estate in Phippsburg on 22 acres of land. Single mother with a 5-year-old kid, okay? Bombing up to Phippsburg, gotta show that vacant property. Sit here, honey, I'll be back, because I couldn't find a sitter. Mom goes in, meets complete strangers. You know, luckily it was winter, so I never had to walk the lot. But I mean, talk about putting yourself in harm's way. So there's that factor. But the other, and I never would ask anybody to sign anything. Even at the time, our agency relationship form was Form 1. Now it's Form 3. I didn't even ask people to sign that. But you have to understand, if they want you to show them property, you need to just be, at the very least, say, I need to present this form. It's put up by the Maine Real Estate Commission, which talks about the differences in agency relationships. Right now, you are a customer. I cannot provide you any professional advice. I can open the door for you. I can let you in the house. I can give you public information, which is on the disclosure. But if you're interested in making an offer, I cannot write an offer and give you my advice unless we enter into an exclusive buyer agent agreement. That's the deal.
So if they say we just want to look at the house, show them the house as a customer?
You can, and hope that you can, establish a rapport and start asking them some questions. So what brings you to the area? What interests you about this house? Is this the right price range for you? What's your current situation? Just kind of just building rapport in the hopes that maybe they'll like you. Oh, by the way, have you looked at any properties with any other agents? Oh yeah, we have a buyer's agent, Derek over at Greenack Shoreline, but he's away. He's golfing today, so we just called you to have you show us the property.
What's your answer to that?
Really? No, that happened on my birthday one year. I was on a team, and my teammates called and said, that Cape Elizabeth property, they're really interested. This guy sounds super excited and everything. And I'm like, oh, you canceled all the plans and, took off, showed the product, spent an hour looking at property, we got building all this rapport and giving him all this information. And he said, thank you so much. He goes, it's great meeting you. I'll have my agent contact you after I write the offer with my agent. That was the last time I made that mistake. I didn't ask, are you working with an agent? Sometimes people are calling the listing agent because they can't get hold of their agent that they have a signed agreement with. And they don't understand how it works. And that's why that Form 3, that agency relationship form, is so important, to understand that there are differences in agency relationships. Sometimes people sort of, when you pull out a piece of paperwork, I'm not signing anything. No, this is not a contract. This is required before I have any significant conversation about real estate, that I present you with this form, whether you sign it or not. Well, I'm not signing anything. Well, can you at least initial it so I can give you a copy to prove that I did show it to you?
So are customers or are clients bound to work with that agent because they signed that, or can they just? Is there a way out? Is it not a contract?
What?
Can they sign two of those things with different agents?
It's not a contract.
Yeah.
A Form 3. I mean,
Form
agency
3,
relationship form. Nope. It's required by the Maine Real Estate
Okay.
Commission.
So-
You should have that. It's good to have those at open houses too. when somebody says, hey, you know, can you show me that house down the road? What can you tell me about it? Because, you know, after this open house, it would be great if I could see this. Well, that'd be great, but, you know, let me ask you, how are you working with any other realtors? No, I'm not. I you know, I've called a lot of the listing agents and, you know, but I really would like to see this. Great. Well, then let me just, has anybody presented this form to you so that you understand that there are differences in agency relationships? You know, I could show you that properties, but I can't give you any professional advice.
So can one client sign up with 2 different agents?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the agency relationship form, yes.
Oh.
It's not a contract.
Oh, okay. I think everyone has this like misconception that they're bound to one agent if you sign it.
If you sign the buyer representation form.
Oh, that
Sign
one.
that.
Okay.
With
Yeah.
the buyer representation form, they can also ask you to just put in like, I wanna look at these 5 houses, put that in for what
Okay,
you
that makes
represent
sense.
me for,
Yeah.
right? Or you can offer that if you're afraid that they're, like, they really don't wanna work with an agent, you can say, hey, listen. And then you can try to extend it afterwards. But there's a line right in there, I just did this last night, there's a line right in there that says, where do you want me to represent you? It can be by county, it can be by town, it can be by MLS.
Cash puts properties I've shown. So it's
Yeah.
literally just the one house he thinks
Or
into.
properties viewed with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important when you are filling out the buyer agreement is, I think you should just be specific. Single family homes in Gorham, Westbrook, Wyndham, Raymond, Casco. Don't put Maine,
Yeah.
because when they wanna look at something in Fort Kent and you say, geez, that's 6-7 hours away, well, you said Maine. You just bound yourself to showing me anything I wanna look at in Maine. That's where you have the buyer consultation. Tell me what's most important to you. Why is it important that you need to be? Some people will say, well, I want a village. I want to be, you'll hear this a lot. I want walkability. Tell me what that looks like. I want to walk to a bookstore. I want to walk to the library. I want to walk to a coffee shop. I want a sense of a downtown, Maine, quaint, villagey type of place. Well, that just eliminated a whole bunch of places off of Route 1. Places that don't have that downtown feel. So now you're honing into areas. Some people might say, well, I want to be on the ocean under 200,000. That's going to be hard to do. Unless I refer you to an agent down east, which is probably, sometimes you might have a buyer who is looking all over creation. And you may educate them on, here are the areas that I can help you in. I'll go up into the Lakes region and I'll go as far as Booth Bay, and that's as far as I go. Anything beyond those areas, I know agents all around the state. I'm happy to refer different agents around the state and coordinate with you and them to have them service you. But be specific on that buyer agreement. And when I present the Form 3, I'll say I don't work with people on a customer-only basis. 100% of the people that I work with are clients. That's how I work. And then I'll say there's a thing called disclosed dual agency. This is allowed and legal in the state of Maine. It's important that you understand that it's one agent in the transaction who has a fiduciary responsibility to the seller. So a buyer is not going to get 100% representation. And it's important that you understand that in case you run into that. And that's just a method of educating the client or the customer on what their choices are going to be. So Matt, when you get that buyer that wants to show you something in Bridgeton and they're just a customer, are you really going to, and you get really busy and you've got 5 or 6 under contract and you have 7 other buyers that you're working with, you need to make a decision. Do I want to spend my time with somebody who's not committed to working with me and showing them a property in Bridgeton? Now, I wouldn't. I would say I would be more than happy to help you. That's a little bit out of my area. I have sold homes in that area. But in order for me to be your agent, I'm going to need to have a signed buyer agent agreement giving me the authorization to represent you. And if they say no, then you know, I can try to find an agent that is a lot less busy than I am in the Bridgeton area that might be willing to show you a property with no agreement.
Okay. It's a good way to handle it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I think it's professional, but you're not, and you will get to a point in time in your business. Right now, you guys have all kinds of free time. So showing property is great, going to inspections is great, everything. Once you start cranking, you're like, there's that balance. I need a life. I need to build a really good business, but I need that balance. And that's when you're gonna be able, that's again, why you why you meet with buyers and do the consultation, because like if I had some know-it-all and somebody talking over me or not listening to me, and I see that right out of the chute, I'm not gonna work with them. That's not a good fit for me.
You just tell them I don't.
I'll just say, you know what, based on everything that you're telling me and based on, you know, the schedule that I have right now, I think you're probably better served if I refer you to an agent that may have a little bit more time with you. You know what I mean? And then I'll just I'll get a referral fee and refer it off to somebody, and then they can spend that kind of time. But I mean, there's certain personality types that you're going to find that you work really, really well with, and there are others that I'm a high I, so I don't, you know, when I have like the engineer or the you know, the IRS person or the scientist who wants to do all kinds of grids and pie charts and, you know, numbers analysis on what a property should be listed at, when there's another offer coming in and it's listed at this, I don't do well with that. Like, I get it, but I understand you're trying to determine what the market should be pricing this house at, but the market is listed at this. Like, what are you doing? You know, I don't connect with that.
So some people think they're smarter than the market.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it's just the way they're wired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't, to me, it's a waste of my time.
Sure.
Because if something's listed at $350 and they're doing all this analysis and there's another offer coming in, two other offers coming in on a $350,000 offer, I'm saying to them, you need to be looking at, you know, at least $350 or above if you want a shot at getting this house. And other things go into play. You know, how strong is the earnest money? When can you close? What kind of inspections are you going to be doing? Those all are factors, terms of the contract that are evaluated. But if you have somebody that knows more than you do, and they say, well, we're going to offer $250 because our pie charts reflect that. So what you could do in a situation like that is say, you know, because it takes time to put together an offer. So what you could do is just, well, let me make a phone call. Hey, Matt, I've got an offer on 123 Main Street. Don't apologize. Oh my God, you know, these people are driving me crazy. They're your clients. You're not to talk to them about them like that. I have some clients that want to make an offer, and they've done their own studies on pricing and evaluations, and their offer would be $250,000, $10,000 earnest money, close at the end of April, inspections done in 10 business days. Zip it. And Matt says, don't waste your time. Or Matt says, put it in writing. I'll present anything you put in writing. Okay? Let's put it in writing.
Isn't the listing agent, is their due diligence in order to show every offer to their seller?
Yes. So, I mean, there have been extreme cases where I'll call somebody and say, hey, I've got a verbal. You know, let me know if I should put it in writing. And a lot of times, you know your seller. You know what the seller's situation is. You may say, don't waste the time.
Okay.
You're way off. I've got 3 offers over asking, I can't, like, unless you come up, don't even send me the offer because it's gonna insult the seller. However, with that said, in that case, I probably should put it in writing, so that I did do justice to the buyer that wants to make that offer. But in certain situations, you might be able to fly a verbal by somebody just to test the waters. And they might say, somebody like a cash would go, don't bother. We've rejected 4 offers. They're not taking a penny less than $345. Well, now you know your number. And that's the information you would go back. They're not accepting any offers less than $345. What do you want to do?
So if the listing agent tells you that they're not accepting any offer less than $345, your buyer can't insist on you going through the hoops of filling out an offer and presenting it to them. I mean, you've already confirmed that it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I had a conversation with the other agent. I presented your offer at $245, and they said that the seller's not accepting anything less than $345. What do you want to do? Well, I want my offer presented. Okay, fine. Let's put your offer. I'll type up your offer. Here it is. I'll get it signed. I'll send it over to you. Matt comes back and says we've rejected your offer. And sometimes buyers need to get rejected. Their offer. Sometimes it's almost like good. So now they're going to get it. Sometimes. And then they do it again. And they lose again. And then the third time they find a house that they love. Now they're ready to pay whatever because they get it.
Have you ever fired any clients?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just like, you know what, this isn't a good fit.
I'd probably even say to someone who just had lowballing land, I don't think this market's going to accommodate you at this time. You have different needs.
Yeah. Yeah. Investors
You're
are not
unrealistic. Get a clue.
Yeah, well, again, and again, think about setting the stage as to how this all works. So, foundationally, we set the stage as to what you can expect. We explained it's a seller's market. We explained about multiple offers. And you may have to go back and revisit that and say, based on when we first met, and I explained that we were in a seller's market, there's not enough inventory for the buyer demand. So we have, we're seeing multiple offers all the time. Look who's in the house. Hey. Oh my goodness.
How are you?
This is Dottie.
Oh.
To see you.
This is
mother-in-law.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's great. This is Dottie Bowe. Come up here, Dottie. Dottie is the original founder of Keller Williams. She's why we're here. She's like,
I don't recognize anybody.
See? These are all new agents.
Awesome.
All in the productivity coaching, most of them. And we're doing it at night, find and show homes.
Find and show homes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody had a sale yet? Okay, so you can find and show homes. I just came back from Florida, and it's always nice to come back and see everybody, and it's always new people. And so I'm hoping to get to know all of you. So I won't interrupt your class.
No, it's fine. We just had a Q&A. She's so great. Yeah, so she, what was it? How many years ago was it?
We bought the franchise in 2003. So it's about 16 years, right?
You need to tell them the story. We have time. You need to tell the story of Leanne saying you need to meet Gary Keller. Tell your story.
Oh, dear.
Tell the story. It's a great story. I tell it, and I don't even know if I have it right.
I was a RE/MAX agent, and Leanne Nichols, do you know Leanne? Have you been to a class with Leanne? Okay, you probably will. She was my assistant, and she was a buyer's agent for me at RE/MAX, and I was retiring. So she said, I don't want to stay at RE/MAX. I don't like it here. Much different culture than we have here. So we looked at, she said, you know, I heard about Gary Keller. You know Gary Keller? Okay? Bring him down because this is all about Gary Keller. So I had always, I'm a lifelong learner, like all of you, and I had always sent her away to classes, and she had said, you know, that class you sent me with Howard Britton, Gary Keller was on the stage. And she said, you know, he thinks like you do. That's kind of a compliment for me, believe me. So she said, he thinks like you do, and I think we should take a look at his franchise, Keller Williams. So I said, okay, because I was thinking, you know, she supported me all of my years in real estate. And so if she wants to maybe look at a franchise, maybe that would be a good thing for me to think about buying a franchise. So we flew out to Texas, and I always sit in the front row, and I got hooked. And they reeled me in like you wouldn't believe. And at that point in time, Keller Williams was not even in New England, not at all. And it was all Keller who. So nobody knew what Keller Williams was. And in the whole scheme of the country, Keller Williams was number 7. There was RE/MAX and Coldwell Banker and C21. C21 was actually number 1, then Coldwell Banker, RE/MAX, you know all of these. And then you've got your small independents. So we bought the franchise, and they said to me, now listen, you can't advertise. We don't believe in advertising. So here I am with a brand new franchise that nobody knows. It's Keller who, and I can't advertise. So we profit share with our agents. So because we profit share with our agents, our P&L, that's how we spend our money, goes back to corporate every month. They want to see how you're spending your money. So there's no line item on there for advertising. So we had to do this word of mouth, and they said, we're a big agent model. You can't have like 20 agents. You can't have a little boutique. It's got to be a big agent, and you better get to 100 agents within the first year. 100 agents. There wasn't any company here that had 100 agents. We got to 99 agents in our first year. And I did put an ad in the paper. I did 0 to 99 in 1 year. So it was a ride. It was awesome. And it was really, it was meant to happen. And here we are now at like 460 agents. Yeah, 460. And we don't call ourselves a real estate company. We call ourselves a training company disguised as a real estate company. Because hopefully you're all going to be lifelong learners, and you're going to be, I'm 74, and hopefully when you're my age you will still be growing and learning and becoming the best of who you can be. So that's what this whole company is all about. It's not just about, real estate is a vehicle for you to fund your lifestyle and your legacy. So you, my friends, are my legacy. You see, the more of you that I can help become all you can be, then that makes me feel like I've accomplished something on this earth. So that's my story.
That's a great story. She's my idol.
And don't hesitate. You will, if you have a list of names and telephone numbers, my cell number should be on there, and you can call me at any point in time. Because I'm one of those people that if you ask me what you should do, guess what? I'll tell you.
I came to Keller Williams. I was with ERA Home Sellers as a buyer agent on a top team for 10 years. And in 2008, I came to Keller Williams, and the market was going this way, and fast. And I really hedged on leaving. I'm very loyal. I really hedged on leaving my agency, and Mark Richards said, you know, Gary Keller's coming to Boston, why don't you come and take a look and hear what he has to say? I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Keller who? And I remember being on a chartered Concord Trailway bus. There were 2 of them that left this parking lot with platters of sandwiches and bottled waters and sodas and people dancing in the aisleway, and you know, just the energy was like huge. And we were somewhere outside of Boston in a ballroom with about 1,000 people. And Gary Keller had just written this book called Shift. And it's how top producing agents have to shift their mindset and their models to adjust and adapt to be able to thrive in a changing market. And I literally sat on the edge of my seat, just like I was in awe. Like what a brilliant man he is, what a visionary he was. It wasn't a rah-rah. He's not rah-rah. He's just this cool dude from Texas that knows what he's, you know, really studies real estate on a global level. I came back on that bus, came into the market center, and the market was tanked. And yet there were people teaching classes, there were agents helping each other, people were on the phone, there was so much energy, the place was just like exploding. And then I felt guilty because I had played hooky for the day. So I drove back to Home Sellers. I opened up the door and the receptionist was yawning, and one of the agents was watering a plant. And the receptionist went, "Oh, this market is so dead." And I went, "Wow, am I in the wrong place?" Yeah, true story. And the interesting thing is, what was awesome is I had known Dottie, I had known Leanne, I knew all these people that were coming to Keller Who, but nobody talked to me about Keller Williams. And I thought, that's kind of odd, because I'm kind of a big shot at Home Sellers. But all of a sudden, amazing things started happening. I started getting invites to training. And at the time, we were using a program called Top Producer. It was a database. And Janice, who's next door, was teaching Top Producer. And I would walk into Keller Williams and I'd hug and high five and shake hands with people on the way in and on the way out. And nobody talked to me about Keller Williams. But I kept showing back up because of the training, because we weren't getting any training where I was at. And then I did a deal with my first Keller Williams agent, Kevin Cloutier, and there were all kinds of twists and turns with the transaction. And it was great. We closed. And he called me up and he took me to lunch at Macaroni Grill. And he handed me the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller. He handed that to me, picked up a crayon, and he starts drawing all this stuff on those paper tablecloths. I'm like, this is like kind of mind-blowing. Like, what's going on here? My only regret, honestly, I came in 2008, my only regret is that I didn't come sooner. And when I did come over, at the time they did press releases, and so I had all these designated brokers, David Banks and Adrian, and all these different people calling me saying, why didn't you talk to us? We didn't know you were looking. And I said, I wasn't. It just happened. And it was just very, very interesting. So talk to people.
I should just tell you that I did say that when we bought the franchise, we were, Keller Williams was number 7, remember, in the country. And now Keller Williams is number 1 in the world, in the whole world. And we became number 1 in Maine in 2 years. So, and we've always been number 1. Now when we say number 1, everybody, you look at the number 1. You can all be number 1 in something, but we're number 1 in both production and agent count and the amount of business that we sell. We sold over $1 billion worth of real estate last year. So we always, when somebody says they're number 1, you want number 1 in what, you know? But Keller Williams is now number 1 in the entire world. We're all over the entire country, globe. And some of our agents have actually bought pieces of market centers in Poland and Ireland and France. Your team leader, Shannon, just came back from doing a big presentation over in France for the folks over there. So it's pretty cool to see. Now, there's only one reason that you would draw like that, isn't there? Because you're meeting the needs of the agents. And Gary's philosophy is, if you can help enough people become all they want to be, then you're going to be successful. So we call it an upside down company because we really care about all of our people, all of our agents, to help them become the best they can be, and ultimately the company becomes successful. It's so simple. Yeah, right. Just thought I'd mention that because I didn't want you to think that we were still number 7.
So when I came over on a team, and Kevin Cloutier was whose team I came over with, but he told me after I got here that he and his wife were buying a home and moving to Florida. So I was kind of at a crossroads. I wasn't quite sure, like I knew that I'd come to the right place, but I wasn't sure I was in the right fit. And I just remember at the time I was very scared as a real estate agent about where the market was and how I was going to get through it. And all of a sudden I got a call from Dottie Bowe from Marco Island. And she had heard that I was having a bad day because I cried. And she said to me, "Why don't you go out on your own as a single agent with Keller Williams?" I said, "Dottie, I don't have the money." And she said, "I will buy you," I think it was 1,000 business cards and 6 signs. And that was one of the most amazing career moments for me, that somebody had that kind of faith in me and believed in me. And that's what I think our culture is all about. Like, we are here to help you guys succeed in whatever way that looks like. So, and not, there are a lot of companies, most companies don't operate that way. So, I'm very grateful.
Well, speaking of helping other people, if there's anybody here that isn't signed up for Bold, and you want to go to Bold, because you know how much is Bold, you know? $800. And you haven't made any money yet. So if anybody wants to go to Bold, then we will make sure you get to Bold. We will make sure that your tuition is paid. I can't tell you how it will change your life. Not just your real estate life, but your life. So I would think about going, and then let me know or Shannon know that you want to go, but you don't have the $800. We'll make sure that happens. Okay?
Yeah. Don't let the money hold you back from Bold. It really will change how you think, and it will make you think bigger than you're thinking now, and that's a guarantee. And that's why so many people take Bold over and over every time it comes. And if you watch those people, their businesses keep growing and growing. It's because their mindset keeps growing, and they realize there's so much, it's there for the taking. They have to go after it, and that's what you'll get out of that. Are you here for a class?
No, I'm here to have lunch with my son.
Oh.
And I just thought I would just scoop in and create a
buzz. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Any questions from anybody?
So, when I talk to like other agents from other agencies, like especially networking groups, they'll say they're number 1 in something. Like, I guess, like, is that for real? I guess. I mean, if we're supposed to be number 1 in, like, I don't know, what Maine or Cumberland County or.
Well, we're number 1 in the country. We're
right,
number
yeah.
1 in Maine.
Yeah.
In agent count and production.
Right. Yeah.
And
numbers are numbers. Like, where are other agencies getting their number 1 from?
I guess that would be a question for the agent.
Yeah.
You know what's it? Because I was an assistant team leader for like a year and a half ago for about 9 months, and then I realized I missed being in production, so I got back out of it. But one of the biggest takeaways for me being in that position was I was talking to agents from all around the state, and it was so blatantly clear to me how untrained so many agents from other agencies are, and that they're hungry for the training. And I think that's something that you guys need to be aware of when you're talking to other agents. And when you are, I used to ask people, it's like, so how are you doing as far as hitting your goals this year? Well, I don't really have any goals. Or where are you on track for hitting your goals? What are your goals this year? And most people couldn't tell me what their goals were. And that just blew my mind, because you need to be able to commit your goals to writing. Because when you visualize that and you know that your goal is to sell 50 homes this year, and I mean, good agents know their numbers all the time. You know, like, okay, so I've closed 8, so that means I need, you know, X amount more, and here's what I have in the pipeline, so here, you know what I mean? If you don't have goals, it's like if you don't have a roadmap or a GPS, and you're going on a trip, well, how are you going to get there? How do you know where you're going and what you might run into? But if you are serious and you say, and sometimes people are afraid to think too big because they're afraid they're going to be disappointed if they don't hit those goals. But what happens if you do? And you go, wow, my goal is hit 100,000. Did it. Now it's 200,000. Gonna do it. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, you talk to the average person, like, I hear it all the time at the grocery store, so how you doing today? Oh, I'll be better at 5 when it's closing time, or when I'm done. Like, some people live like that, and that's the cool thing about Bold is it's about living life by design and not by default. So if you use real estate as a way to fund the life that you want, our life is not all around real estate. We're selling real estate to be able to make good livings, to have good businesses, but to be able to give back abundantly. And it's nice. I mean, it's nice when you're at that level that you've got everything that you need. So now it's time, like, who needs help? Oh, who needs some help? Yeah, who needs help? Good. Here it is. And not, like, freak out and lose sleep over it because you just gave somebody a ticket to Bold. That's a cool thing.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. The other thing I'm gonna just touch on is profit share. I had no clue. They told me something about profit share when I first came on board, and I didn't have any idea. And at the time, when I left Home Sellers, other people started leaving Home Sellers, and I didn't realize it at the time, but if somebody comes to Keller Williams, they're asked a question, who influenced you into coming to Keller Williams? And some people named me, and whatever. So, and I didn't even know it. And so I remember one day getting a check for a couple $100. So I brought it back to the office. I said, I don't know what this is. And they said, oh, that's your profit share check. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know where it came from. So I set up an account at Norway Savings. And so my profit share goes every month right into Norway Savings. And a couple of years ago, I walked across the parking lot, and I don't have a debit card to it. I don't have access. I don't even check it online. I just accumulate money every month on the 21st of every month. But the coolest thing was on the in October, I don't know, 2 years ago, I bought a place down at Pine Point. And I walked across the parking lot and pulled out $20,000 to put down as my down payment on this investment property that I bought there. And that's when it really, really hit me. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool. And that profit share, we're a debt-free company, so at the end of the month when all the bills are paid, usually in most business models, all the profit goes to the owners. Well, the model with Keller Williams is the owners kick back 50% to the agents participating in profit share. And so you can't obtain any profit share if you don't have anybody in your profit share tree. But as those people start producing, the money that you're getting in profit share is not out of your pocket or the other agent's pocket, it's out of the profit. And there's some kind of calculation or whatever. And each year my profit share I think I made like $9,000 last year. And again, I have a son, Spencer, he and I are partners on a team. He's 26, and that's my legacy. My goal is to continue to build my profit share, so to help fund my retirement, so I have that money coming in every month, and to leave it to him.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's
willable,
willable.
which I think a lot of people don't quite catch.
That's when it went light bulb, when I realized, I heard it before, but then when I realized the magnitude of that, it was pretty big.
My husband, he does profit share with Scott.
Yeah.
Scott Rowe. Anyway, so he worked for the company for 3 years.
Yep.
Was vested. And then so he still, just because from back then.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
People that still brought in and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool.
It's really cool. And you could go as big as you want on profit share too. I mean, there are people, there's a couple, they're probably in their 70s, later 70s, McKissick. I don't know their first names, but I met them in Austin a few years ago, and they stood up and they said, we didn't really realize what profit share was, but they have recruited a lot of people into Keller Williams, and their profit was $1.4 million that year. So that's just money that's just coming in, and when you're making that kind of money and you really don't need it, that's when you see people doing really great things in the communities, and giving back, and it's kind of like full circle. The last thing I kind of want to show you guys is just I was talking to Joe today about this. It's like we don't really teach a lot about using lock boxes, but it's nothing rocket scientist about it. It's just I want you guys to be familiar with a couple of different types of things, because if you're with a client and you're flubbing around opening the first lock box, I want you guys to know how to do that. So on the back is the code for this. So you're just going to obviously find the right numbers, and then this one pulls out. Okay.
Yeah, right into a combination of letters.
Oh, yep. Okay, this one is 0613, like 0613.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yep. So. Yep. So you have to clear it. So clear that.
I have to.
Yep. Go in again. 0613. Yeah. See how you have to do it again. 0613. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do you just buy yours on Amazon, or
I get them different places.
you just grab it when you need